Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to More of the Storm by Cynthia Rylant. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and I have bad news. We are finishing this book. Well, I guess it's good news, but we're going to be sad, I think, when the story ends. Last time we met, if you remember, Siebold and Pandora rescued a little floating kind of raft, and on the raft they found three little mice, two sisters and a brother. We have Whistler, the brother, and Lila, the sister, and the baby is named Tiny. And chapter 8 ended with Tiny being very sick with a high fever. In fact, I'll go back and read the last few sentences. Oh, and Pandora is on her way out to get some things to make medicine for the baby. Keep her cool, said Pandora, but not cold. A nice low breeze from the window will help, and she needs much water. See if she will drink. Pandora looked kindly at Whistler and Lila. You've done very well caring for this small child. She is ill from weather and sea, not from want of attention or love. Another tear dropped down Lila's face. I shall hurry, Pandora said, as taking her woolen shawl, she stepped out the door. Chapter 9, Family. While Pandora set out searching the woods, Siebold sat Lila and Whistler down to a checkerboard he had made, to take their minds off their fears. I will look after Tiny, he told them gently, and you may try out my new game board. Clams, Lila said in surprise, picking up a game piece. And starfish, said Whistler, picking up another. Siebold smiled. They're much more interesting than little round circles. I carved them myself. Amazing, said Whistler, turning the starfish around in his hand. I should like to try carving sometime. Anytime you like, said Siebold. Except now, of course, this little one needs me. He left Whistler and Lila to their game and carried the infant mouse to a chair beside the kitchen window. Settling her in one paw, with a thimble full of water nearby, he went about his duties. He kept her cool, just as Pandora had told him, and gave her water. And these things Siebold did do. But he did something more. There, beside Pandora's curtained window, in view of the cherry trees budding and the daffodils in bloom, Siebold transformed. Exactly how he could not say, but rocking the infant carefully in his paw, listening to the quiet and gentle voices of Whistler and Lila in the next room, hearing the fire crackle and smelling the good brown smell of bread in the stove, Siebold realized he was happy. Happier than he had ever been. Happier than any solitary evening at sea ever made him. He sat by the window, cooed to the tiny baby, and smiled. And after that day, everything changed. Tiny was made better by the willow bark. Lila planted sunflower seeds, and Pandora and Siebold found themselves with a kind of a household. Some days Pandora looked about at all the dwellers at her lighthouse, and she marveled and thought, how had all of it happened? It had happened for many reasons. It happened because a noble young cat wished to save lives, because a brave dog wished to sail, and because three small children wished for a family. Before Siebold found them at sea, Whistler, Lila, and Tiny had lived in an orphanage far from Pandora's lighthouse, but they were to be separated and sent off to different places. We will never be separated, Whistler told Lila, and in the dark of night, with Tiny bundled onto Lila's back, they had escaped. Finding the docks of the city and all the great schooners ready to set sail, they had hidden aboard one of them, bound for they knew not where. But out at sea in a hurricaned wind, the schooner had rolled itself under and the three poor young mice with it. Perhaps their parents in heaven were watching over them, for Whistler managed to grab hold of an empty crate and pull his sisters in. They floated, hungry and thirsty, for what seemed time unending, until Siebold found them. And now here they were, carving otters, planting sunflowers. Siebold grew quite attached to Tiny. He put her in the soft roll of his knitted cap, and she went everywhere with him, seeing all that he saw. In the evening, when Pandora set supper on the table, Siebold placed Tiny in a little egg cup by his plate and patted her fondly on the head as they ate. And then, with full stomachs and happy hearts, the children were put to bed. Siebold and Pandora had their last cup of tea in the sitting room and reminisced about their day. Do you remember when we saw the double rainbow? Do you remember when the moon passed across the sun and the wind blew the pelican the wrong way? They would smile together in memory and sip their tea. And as always, before the night was ended, Siebold would ask, "And do you remember when I found the children?" Pandora would nod her head. "They are quite wonderful," Siebold would say. "Yes," Pandora would answer. "Thank goodness we found them," they both said in unison. And with a happy good night, Siebold would go to his warm bed and Pandora would go to hers. In the kitchen, near the fire, tucked into the knitted sock that Pandora had made just for them, the three mouse children would sleep soundly, dreaming their blue sea dreams. The lighthouse had a family. And that is the end of the story, boys and girls. It's interesting. The next page says the beginning. Now, I have to tell you, I don't have any more books in this series, but I do know it is a series by Cynthia Rylant. So if you're interested, maybe you could look online and find them. The next one in the series is called The Whale. So, and as far as I know, this Lighthouse Family series, it's the same characters. I'm actually thinking about finding more of these books myself. I hope you enjoyed our book, The Storm. Tune in tomorrow when we start our next chapter book. Have a great day, everybody. See you soon.